Have you ever been scrolling through the list of plants you can use and you're like, yeah, I'll use spike weed. Maybe even spike rock. I'll throw cactus in there. Now when I tell you that this challenge is the only spikes challenge and you look at these three plants, what do you think this challenge is about? Maybe you think it's because they have spikes. I mean, that's the first thing that would come to my mind, but I don't know. The real reason this challenge is called the Only Spikes Challenge is because there's really nothing else to call it. I couldn't call it the Only Weeds Challenge because the cactus doesn't fit into that category, and I couldn't call it Only Plants That Attack Zombies from Below with Spikes either. So I decided on Only Spikes, because if you didn't know, the cactus, when a zombie gets close to it, it goes underground and pricks at zombies from below, basically just like a spike weed. So all these plants have that in common, except one is really butt, one does ice damage and slows them, another one does a lot of damage but doesn't slow them, and then the cactus, we really can't do this challenge without him, because he takes out all the air units. Before all the people who might complain about a long intro come in, let's go over the rules for this challenge really quickly. Number 1, no power-ups, obviously. Number 2, only insufficient sun producers. And what I mean by that is basically I will be using sun producers because a lot of people were commenting on the last challenge that I should be able to use sun producers. So I'm going to use gold bloom and plants like sunbean who don't consistently make sun for me, but get me a little pinch of sun over and over again throughout the challenge. And then number 3, only use spearmint when in desperation. We do have spearmint for this challenge because if you didn't know, it basically just makes a whole row of spike rocks at the very front of the lawn. It's kind of OP actually, but since it's kind of OP, we're only going to use it when we actually need it, since spearmint could probably clear out ancient Egypt by itself. Wait, did somebody say... Day 1, I was just trying to get my bearing because I was trying to see which plants did the most damage and stuff like that, because I haven't used any of these plants in a long time, and we ended up already losing 2 lawnmowers to it. But basically, this is what I learned. It takes 2 spike weeds to take out a normal zombie, so we won't be using him as much, but we will need to use him if we're getting overwhelmed and we don't have a lot of sun. The iceweed is by far the best plant here, and the iceweed and the spike rock are basically one and the same damage wise. But I think the iceweed is a little bit better just because it still slows them after the zombie passes it a little, and it's 100 less sun. Day 3, I took away the cabbage pulp because I don't need his pity damage, and I kept the sunflowers since, you know, just a little help would be nice. And I would usually start levels with the spike rocks or the ice weeds, but since there's tombstones in this world, we kind of need the cactuses to get rid of those. And it's actually kind of crazy how an ice weed can take out a full row of those camel zombies in this world just by itself. The slowing effect is actually insane. Day 7, it let us start off with 500 sun already, so I was feeling kind of rich, so I put down some spike rocks. But I really do like using the ice weeds better. Also, if you want to know what iceweed's plant food does, it basically just makes a frost saw that goes down the lane and it pushes every zombie in that lane all the way back to the beginning. It's actually really good, and also you're left with this powered up version of iceweed. Or at least I think he's powered up. He might just be mad, I don't know. Day 8, we can also save this walnut from immediate destruction with the iceweed. Look at my little boy iceweed go. It's so beautiful. Day 10, I set up a challenge to see if the zombies could make it through 3 stages of spikes. The first stage is thumbtacks covered in liquid nitrogen. Next is just stepping on Legos, pretty simple. And then lastly, like a bed of nails, but if there was no bed and it was just 3 long rusted nails with like an inch in between them. Yes, they have AIDS on them. Day 12, we get introduced to the zombie and the tombstone, which this dude is really hard to take out with the plants I have. Like, genuinely, I spent all of my sun and my whole arsenal on trying to kill this dude, and bro still ate all of them and got out of there alive. Like, I'm genuinely asking, is this dude... The problem isn't even I can't really take him out, because I eventually can with a solid strat, but I didn't know this before. When you break him, he gets like really enraged like the newspaper zombie and like straight runs at you. And this dude can completely bypass the ice weeds slow with his speed and run past the cactus. And since the cactus is basically like a spike weed, it doesn't do very much damage that it needs to do. So this dude is just really annoying every time you see him. And like the first or second time he's on the map, you usually lose a lawnmower. Day 13, we couldn't plant on Dave's mole colonies, but that's okay since there wasn't any coffin zombies. And they give us tons of plant food to work with. Bro, can they give me one day of joy and happiness? Bro's a zombie of agony and suffering. Day 15 was actually really hard. Pause. There were an overwhelming amount of zombies, and not even an ice weed, spike rock, and a cactus could defeat the coffin zombie together. I still don't even know till this day how bro got all that damage taken to him and still made it to my lawnmower. I even used the strat of freezing him with the ice weed while the spike rock hits him for maximum damage, and bro still got by. It took a cactus that had plant food and all 3 types of spike plants to actually kill this dude. Like, this is actually insane. And I actually ended up losing this level. Can you guess from who? But I'm glad I actually lost this level at first because it made me invent a new strategy called the swallow and spit. Basically, if you didn't know, Spike Rock's plant food basically does a bunch of spikes all in the lane, but it actually sucks them all in to the spike rock. And since the ice weed pushes them away, I combine the two together against the coffin zombie, where the spike rock sucks the coffin zombie in and the ice weed pushes him out or spits him out to the back of the lawn. And this was the only secure way to defeat him, since it looked like every single time he got hit, he got stronger. Day 16 had no coffin zombies, so no problem, but I just see Spearmint smirking at me because it's waiting to be used. Day 17, we couldn't place more than 14 plants, but I don't know if my game bugged out or something, but I placed a cactus, which was the 15th plant, and nothing ended up happening.
That's it?
Day 18 was our first plan your defense level, but for this challenge I have a great feeling that we're gonna actually have to plan our defense way earlier than I would hope for, instead of just spamming cactus and ice weeds down uncontrollably. This level was literally just those camel zombies, and the ice weeds immediately took them out. Day 19 we couldn't plant on the mold, but it was also we couldn't have more than 16 plants, but again this level, I mean, it's not like I had more than 16 plants, and also I'm not complaining, but I don't know why, but it seems like this level, this type of level is just bugged for me because it never counts down whenever I place a plant, and even if I had more of the plant like I did in the earlier level, it still doesn't fail me. So I don't know, I think this type of level is just bugged, but thankfully this is not one of the really hard types of levels. Day 20 we had to protect these 4 sunflowers, and every single wave of zombies I had to just spam down weeds everywhere because it was so hard to protect all these sunflowers from all the bucket heads and zombies coming through. But this is why I like using the insufficient sun producers like the Sunbloom and the Sunbeam, is because they give you just enough sun to do with what they give you, but it doesn't make it too easy where you can just spam everything. Day 21, the coffin zombies make their return, and this level is way harder than the normal levels with coffin zombies because they already give us 3 plants that we can't use. So we only have 4 seed slots left, so we are forced to take out the Sunbeam and our weakest spike, which is the spike weed, and just roll with what we have. And of course, the first coffin zombie that came out, I immediately lost the lawnmower. For the next coffin zombie, I tried to do the swallow and spit method, but I spit way too early because our spike rock wasn't done swallowing.
I always spit way too early.
Day 22 is another one of those levels where we can't have more than a certain amount of plants, but let's just skip to the end of the level and tell me how many plants you see. I don't know. Day 23 was our first encounter with a gargantuar, and it was actually pretty easy. I did a complete swallow and spit method, and it actually helped us a lot. The good thing about the spike rock here is it takes multiple hits for a gargantuar to kill a spike rock, so eventually we did end up killing him. Day 24 was absolutely there were coffin zombies all over the place, and I literally lost every lawnmower except for one just because of them. But luckily there was only one flag, and they only threw one wave of them at us, because dude, I did not have the sun to deal with this bull. And that will be the end of Ancient Egypt for the Only Spikes challenge, and I'm gonna give Ancient Egypt for this challenge a 5 out of 10. The only reason it was hard was because of the coffin zombies, but there was a lot of times where I lost because of them, and just a crazy amount of stress each level. The next world is Pirate Seas. Day 1, I'm just trying to figure out the strategies I will be using for this world. Since there are no zombies carrying birds in the early levels, the strat for the zombies that swing across the water is literally just one ice weed.
I mean, who else could do it on their own?
But when a bird zombies get introduced, we will need a cactus down those lanes. Well, Day 2 has bird zombies. I genuinely do not remember these apes showing up on the galley in Day 2. Even just looking at them makes me hate them. Just one cactus and one ice weed shuts down any attacks from the water lanes this whole world. Is it just me, or is it really satisfying to see a plant-fooded cactus knock a zombie's head off? Day 4 and the buckethead zombies are giving me a hard time. We need the spike rock's damage output to deal with them, but I never really have sun to just be like, oh, a spike rock over there and over here, and maybe a pinch of plant food on that one. Day 5 and 6, I came up with a pretty solid strategy to deal with the buckethead zombies and the massive hordes of meat-riding zombies. Basically, I just spend any plant food to power up the cactus on those lanes that normal zombies go down. Pair that powered up cactus with an iceweed and spikeweed, and you got a recipe for brains and booty. Day 7 introduces the zombies spikeweed was made for. If you didn't know, Pirate Seas are spikeweed and spike rock's world, by the way. And the main purpose of spikeweed is basically to give up its life to get rid of these annoying barrels full of imps. It is a very noble sacrifice, actually, and I'll commend him for dedication. Day 8 was a conveyor belt level, but it had spikeweed, so I decided to give it a shot and beat it with only spikeweed. Surprisingly enough, they gave me 2 spikeweeds and sent 1 conehead straight for me, and he immediately ate my brain. But what I am happy about is knowing that the imp cannons basically don't do anything in this challenge because all of my plants can solo little bro. The imp cannon's prime only lasted for 1 PvZ challenge. That's actually kind of crazy. On day 11 there were 3 water rows and 2 regular, which basically means we can use our plant food on the cactus and beam everyone down those little rows like we in a Nick A30 skit or something. Day 13 was our first level where we had to produce a certain amount of sun for this challenge, and this one was pretty easy because we just used our plant food to get rid of the cooldown on the gold bloom. So overall, we just kind of went crazy with that. And I mean, I used the sunbeam once or twice too, I'm not gonna lie. Next was a planner defense level, and I used my usual goated thinking not included strategy, except I added a ton of spikeweeds in the front to make sure those barrel zombies didn't give us any trouble. We couldn't let the zombies trample the flowers next, but I know me and my boy 3Peter would never let that happen. Not only were the flowers all the way in the back of the lawn, but these zombies stand no chance against my S tier defense. There are just no zombies in this world that are threatening, like at all. Not only do they all look stupid, but they're pretty butt at eating my brains. I usually dread this level whenever I play, literally anytime. I'm not going to sit here and say I was filled with joy and excitement to play this level again, but it really wasn't that hard this time through. I mean, these bum-ass beans didn't do much to help, but our spikes were made for protecting plants for real. I'm so proud of my 3 boys. Day 17, we had to defeat a certain amount of zombies in a certain amount of time. I just don't see how this level is hard when they throw every imp cannon and every barrel zombie on their ship at you during this level, and 1 spike rock plant food takes out a whole row and completes the challenge by himself. Also, someone keeps commenting that I should rate plants on smashability or something, and I just think that's disgusting. Day 18 gave us certain plants we had to use instead of choosing our own loadout, but they made one fatal mistake, giving us spikeweed. We ended up having enough sun this level to fill the entire poop deck with these things. Luckily, there were no special zombies or else we would have been chopped, but this is definitely Spikeweed's prime, so I hope he can enjoy it while it lasts. Speaking of him, everyone keeps commenting on the fact that I call Cactus a he, and spoiler alert, it's just pretty normal for me to call anything he, him, dude, or guy, basically. It's basically my version of calling something it, probably because I'm a dude. I'm sorry for insulting the cactus enjoyers. Day 19 drained everything out of me. We have to not let them trample the flowers and produce a certain amount of sun. The main problem, that was the reason I kept dying, was that I usually used a plant food on the gold bloom, but its cooldown was at half, so I decided to wait for it to use the plant food more efficiently. But this causes us to not have a lot of sun, so I had to micromanage literally everything, picking up sun and slowly dealing with zombies right before they trample the flowers. And I kind of have a slower reaction time, so that's why this level was harder for me. But eventually I got it. Day 21 we had to kill a bunch of zombies and produce a bunch of sun, and it came down to a wire. But we got the final plant food to refresh the gold bloom. Day 22, y'all probably already know where this is going. This is possible with quite literally every single one of our plants. Full of spikeweeds? Done. 2 columns of spike rocks? Also done. Cactus? Probably the best plant for this actually. And of course my baby boy Iceweed can of course do this. This is what the amp cannons get for traumatizing me. This level is also possible with spearmint, but I just didn't show it because, you know, spearmint is basically spike rock. Also, can we talk about how you literally shouldn't be using spike rock unless it's like in spearmint form? Because why would you use spike rock if you have spearmint? And can we also agree that spike rock should probably only cost 150 sun because Iceweed literally does the same amount of damage over time as spike rock? Like if a conehead walks over spike rock, it does a lot of damage, sure, but if a conehead walks over Iceweed, it does the same amount of damage because of how much it slows while it's doing the consistent damage. So I just think spike rock in no way is it useful unless you're using like spearmint. or maybe playing your defense, but other than that, I feel like Spike Rock is pretty useless and just a waste of sun. I think Iceweed out of the whole family is definitely the best to use, but I don't know, if Spike Rock was like max level, if you were really like pay to win like that, I'm sure he would be awesome. I'm sure he could demolish everything. I'm sure he could one-shot a Gargantuar if he was like level 10, but everything's level 1 around here. No other days were challenging, so let's skip to the boss fight. Of course I tried the boss fight with the Spikeweed, but the only way to deal damage to Zomboss is the plant food, but not just that, Zomboss has to be scooted up a little like he's about to trample your plants to even get damaged by the Spikeweed's plant foods, but it doesn't matter anyway since they give you close to no Spikeweeds and a ton of zombies to deal with. I hate to go in another Spike Rock rant, but don't you guys think it's kind of weird how this is Spike Rock's world and he's not even in the boss fight or even in really any of the conveyor belt levels or the given plant levels? I just think it's kind of weird. It's like they made him just to be like a stronger version of Spikeweed, and that's literally it, because he literally has no association with this world other than his brother Spikeweed actually has association with this world. I just think it's kind of weird how bro is never in this world and you get him from this world. But with that, I'm going to give Pirate Seas a solid 2.5 out of 10. None of the zombies were challenging to deal with. Like, I don't know what else to say. And I only struggled on like that one level where I had to micromanage everything, and that was just me, like my brain being kind of stupider than the average person's. The Wild West feels like a really good world for this challenge. We have minecarts, so our spikes can hit anyone on the lawn basically, move them around and stuff. And the Piyama zombie can get taken out by our weeds, so they're pretty easy to deal with. The first zombie of this world is of course the annoying zombies that blast behind your defense to eat you from the inside out. Well, Old Man Jenkins literally has no purpose because the cactus just hides from him and he ends up stubbing his toe on him and dying.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
Like if you were a kamikaze bomber but figured out in the afterlife you were the only one who went out. Every single one of my plants counter him, and also doing nothing counters him. Day 3 the piano zombie shows up, but I just spent 100 sun to counter him and no zombies even got to bust a jig before he blew up. These zombies that just hid tons of concrete underneath their clothes are pretty costly to deal with. You need a cactus, iceweed, and a spike rock. And if I'm not wrong, these guys might be stronger than regular bucketheads, but someone will have to let me know about that. Day 6 and holy, my defense was chopped as hell. I don't even think giving me 2 times the sun they did would have helped me at this point, bro. It's crazy how Zomboss would see my defense fail crazy style against these zombies with hidden concrete blocks, then proceed to only throw like 2 of them at me the next level. Like bro is trying to get the bare minimum to work. The only thing that saved me was that they all came at once, so my lawnmowers were able to take everything out. If this wasn't a planar defense level, I definitely would have been cooked. No more levels made me hard, pause, except for day 11, which is don't spend more than 500 sun, which sounds hard, but they only throw coneheads and regular zombies at you, so cactus does the trick. Also, spearmint could solo this level, by the way. Day 13, and I didn't think the bull zombies would be hard to deal with until they ran past 2 of my ice weeds and a powered cactus. Even if you manage to kill the bulls, they still end up throwing their stupid little imp fella at you sometimes, and sometimes they even get past you and get to your lawnmower. There's no worse feeling than realizing you wasted a lawnmower on a stupid little imp. Day 14 has the stupid chicken zombies, but unless you just roll in from Stupid Town, you've probably already guessed that the chicken zombies are not that big of a deal for this challenge. Not only can the cactus pierce through them, but if things get overwhelming, he can just go underground and destroy them that way too. Not to mention every single one of our plants counter them. We just need to make sure we have enough sun to have one of our plants down every lane. Day 15, we couldn't lose more than 2 plants, and we lost one getting sun from the gold bloom and basically just spam cactus. I couldn't risk one of my spike reeds getting taken out by the piano zombies, so this level I had to let the zombies hit a little jig. Day 16, we had to protect a walnut. It was getting pretty easy. We just gave him some plant food so we didn't have to worry about him getting nibbled on. Day 17, we couldn't let the zombies trample the flowers, but we had to deal with these stupid imps riding the bulls again. The spearmint went crazy this level and completely demolished the bulls since the spearmint spike rocks do a crazy amount of damage. But my heart dropped every single time that bull was about to throw his imp straight at my little flower. Holy mackerel, if I was using any other plant for day 18, I would be cooked like crazy. These plants were made with dealing with zombies like these and of course the chickens, but yet I was still unsure if I was going to win or not. Luckily, my plants have never failed me before, so far. Day 19, we couldn't lose more than 2 plants again, but it was even easier than the last because there was no piano zombies to take out my spike weeds. So we basically had free reign to do whatever we pleased. Day 21, we failed almost immediately. The old man was so useless this world, they made a whole scenario where he would actually be viable. We just didn't have enough sun to deal with all these buckets and old men. Literally all it took was a spearmint and the level went from a nightmare to like a light nap. Day 23 looks like a level I would tell my grandkids about how hard it was and I spent hours on it, but I easily first tried it. It looks insanely difficult, but when you realize they give up you a year's supply of plant food, it actually becomes pretty easy.
Oh! Freak
Plant food.
forever!
Day 24 and I'm getting tired of these stupid bulls. Every single time they end up taking one of my lawnmowers on the first attempt. They even threw one of their imps directly in my house on my first attempt. But Spearmint cleaned everything up nicely. With that final day, that is the end of the Wild West, and I'm going to give it a solid 3.5 out of 10. Nothing too crazy, but our next world. Frostbite Caves annoys me so much that I can't even explain how I feel when I play this world. Day 1 and they're handing out gifts like these free walnuts for the pain and agony that I'm definitely going to go through later. And I made a pretty cool cactus statue. Thank goodness we are in the early levels because I straight up got mollywopped by this blizzard. This doesn't even really help and it isn't game changing, but Iceweed doesn't freeze, so that's something to keep in mind, I guess. Day 4 and these snowball throwing zombies are pretty butt against us, especially since the cactus can hide and usually there's like a random spike weed at the front that he ends up freezing instead, so it doesn't really matter a lot. And everything gets frozen of ours anyway, so he basically does nothing. The cactus usually deals with them with her pierce before they can throw any snowballs at her spikes sometimes. Day 6 and my organs are already failing watching this go down. Like, how is this even fair? They might have just caused another ice age after this, bro. Not only did every plant I place get frozen immediately, like the game has a sensor when I place something, but I can only bring 2 of my plants with me because they chose all the other ones. They were generous enough to give me spikeweed, I guess. I was so close on the second try, man, but I let some bum-ass regular Joe zombies get to me of all things. But I eventually got it. Bro, finally. I don't even know what I did differently there, if I'm gonna be honest. I just locked in, I guess. Geeked versus locked in level. Oh wait, I play Sunflower. That still counts, right, I guess. A7 was easy because we had 2 split peas that hit them from the back while I got the front. This is a rare split PW, by the way. Day 9 and I always forgot that these bum-ass birds exist, dude. Basically, you always have to have a cactus down every lane to ensure a dodo doesn't get by, and it is not that simple. If a dodo bird even gets 10% down the lane before you place a cactus there, that cactus will not kill the dodo in time and will hide when it gets close. And that's your lawnmower gone already from 1 dodo imp. It's insane how every world, the most annoying zombie is always something to do with the imp. Day 11. When you guys are old and you're thinking over your life, you're going to remember this level and what it did to me. Let's just start off by saying that this level only lets you pick 2 plants and has 4 flags. So yeah, that's already crazy hard. So basically an only cactus run, or at least that's what I tried in my first few attempts. The main problem is the amount of zombies, dodos, and these frozen dudes at the top that we don't even have close to the amount of damage output that we need to kill them with only cactuses. I took cactus and gold bloom for this level, so again we had no damage output to deal with the ice heads and the bucket heads unless they start at the beginning of the lane, but even then. So when the cactus eventually breaks the ice and freezes these bums at the top, the lane is definitely gone. So my first strategy was to take out the frozen zombies by unfreezing them as the first wave of dodos come, so I don't have to deal with any of them. It seemed to work at first until the ice heads and the bucket heads came at the bottom, and even though 2 cactuses were shooting at bro the entire time, he still didn't die. Next, I try not to bother with the top lanes at all until the dodos came, and then shovel up the cactuses when I'm done with her. But there were way too many dodos, and I eventually either let the zombies into the ice free, or the dodos got by and ate my brains. All the focus on the top lanes also let my bottom lanes be overwhelmed and also frozen. Don't go under, I swear. My next strategy was bringing cactus and spikeweed. My idea was to let all the zombies gather at the bottom and use plant food to pull them all back with the spikeweed's plant food. Well, first of all, not enough plant food, and second of all, the plant food wasn't strong enough to pull all of them, and third, no sun producers, so I didn't even have enough sun to try this out. Chat, this plan did not work, dude. All my plans suck. So PVC is punishing me for being innovative and smart. Got it. Jeez. I then tried using cactus and spearmint. Spearmint was good off to start, but the spearmint killed the first zombies too quickly, so the waves came faster and we had no sun producers. So I then went back to cactus and gold bloom. I also tried to use sun shroom too, and I know I said insufficient sun producers, and you'd be right,
because technically they are insufficient because they get frozen before the first wave. But in all seriousness, we definitely need this guy for this level. And I've already been trying for an hour at this point. We almost made it to the last flag, but you guessed it, overwhelmed by a bunch of random zombies. Then I used Cactus and Spearmint with our sun producer as the sun shroom, and we got cooked. But this was the closest we have ever gotten, and I wasn't going to quit at the finish line. Wait, that was kind of tough. I finally beat it! I beat it!
With mushrooms, people like a lot of the comments were saying that I should use sun producers. So I count that as a dominant win, okay? I literally, it's been what? Hold on, let me see. I've been on that level for a whole hour. All the people saying that I probably didn't try hard enough on the levels I failed, I just sat there for an hour, twiddling with my dick, trying every strategy. Cause like, there's not a lot of strategies you can try with just 2 plants. Jeez. I'm so glad I finally finished that. Jeez Louise.
Day 12 was a nice plan your defense, but I know those slime balls don't want me to have a chill level. I only placed 1 row of cactus and saved about 1,000 sun to place, because they were trying to trick you by getting you to a place and spend all of your sun just for it to get frozen during the first wave. Yep, no thanks, bud. Day 13 was stressful, but pretty simple due to the fact that the flowers are all the way in the back. This gargantuar really tried to get his kids across though. Day 15 I thought would be pretty easy since we got some plants to warm up our cactus, but I guess the wind is like 15 times stronger and this dude's flame is just like a chill flat fireplace, I guess. Also, it came down to 1 zombie and I forgot I could have launched my lawnmower, but when I realized it was too late. But an easy second try. Day 17 was easy because they gave us some free plants. Day 19 was absolutely crazy and I thought I won, but I forgot that this zombie on the bottom and the stepping stone that brought him up. I was pretty devastated and didn't even want to watch him eat me. I immediately restarted that shit. Second try was close, but we eventually got it. Day 20 was an easy first try. Day 21 was a conveyor belt level, and for some reason Spike Rock is in it. So of course I tried it, guys. And it was looking bright at the end of the tunnel, but I guess the tunnel was like booby trapped and it exploded because they just didn't give me any more Spike Rocks halfway through the level for some reason. Day 22 introduced the weasel zombies, and I thought they would be easy peasy just like the chicken zombies, but apparently the weasels have way more health because the only thing that can take them out alone is a Spike Rock. And I guess in retrospective, I should have been like, of course weasels would have more health than chickens, but like I really didn't expect them to actually go that far with the design. It didn't make the level that hard, I just didn't expect it. Day 23 we had to protect the endangered plants, but they kind of made me feel like the endangered one because they kind of carried me a little. Day 26 made you think it was tough by flashing its 4 flags at you, but there were really only 10 zombies per wave. Day 27 we had to protect all these rutabagas, and we were cruising until I had to handle these 2 gargantuar. But that wasn't even the problem. There was a sneaky little zombie at the bottom, and of course that was the lane I didn't have a lawnmower on. Day 28 they froze, literally, but at the end I used all of my plant food to refresh the spearmint and ended up cooking them. And that's the end of Frostbite Caves. Holy. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I do think it will get harder, but this was crazy difficult. Now on to the Lost City. A pretty lackluster world if you ask me, but I guess I'll tell you why later. Day 1 and they already sent 20 bucket heads at me, but they also gave me 3 plant food, so I'm getting mixed signals. I mean, if Zomboss wanted some, he could have just asked. Day 2 was pretty easy with the help of the red stinger and his beam of doom. I did not use it at all, but it looks pretty sick. The digger appeared on day 4, and since he blocks projectiles, I was worried, and I spent all my sun trying to take him out with the spikeweed variants, but then I looked at my cactus at the top and saw his projectiles easily piercing, bro. I was confused because blocking projectiles is the digger's whole thing and the spike goes through him. How does that work? Does the cactus spike go through solid gold or what? It makes sense for the laser beam to be able to shoot through it because it's a literal laser, but it just doesn't feel right watching a measly spike make this zombie basically not threatening at all. But hey, I'm not complaining. The next day that's even slightly memorable is day 12 where we have to produce 5,000 sun. But they give us all these golden tiles to help. This level actually helps our spikes thrive because usually you wouldn't want to place a lot of plants at the front of the lawn on those tiles where they could easily get eaten by zombies. But our spikes don't flinch in the face of danger. Day 17 is where things got a little bit annoying. Remember, when I said imps got some of the most annoying variants in the game, well, this is definitely one of those times. Well, this is another one I hate with all my being. If you don't kill them fast, they set up tents which spawn zombies. And is it just me, or do I not remember them being able to spawn full-fledged bucket heads, or did I miss an update or something? Day 20 and they heard me dissing because they immediately threw a bucket head at me again. Zomboss is not going to be able to move or walk after I'm done with her. Day 23 welcomes our first worthy opponent of this world, these Indiana Jones impersonating ass zombies, and I don't see why they have a crazy amount of health and also swing halfway across the lawn. You do not have enough time to deal with these guys. If you don't already have a cactus and an ice weed down by the time they come swinging, you already guaranteed to lose a lawnmower, pal. This world went from a calm 2 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10 just because of these bums. I lost because I kind of forgot they existed, so next time I'll have it down pat. Wow, it's only been a day and they got the craziest combo ever. A zombie that swings halfway across the map and a Protect the Flowers level. Crazy Dave really saw this dude on day 23 and thought it would be a good idea to plant his helpless little flowers in the middle of the lawn after seeing that. Then I have to deal with his bull? Like, bro! Even when I used Spearmint, I had a sneaky little zombie get by and show up with the flowers. I'd use my plant food on the spike rocks to pull the zombie away from the flowers like I was pulling a baby away from a Tide Pod or something. Once the game made me memorize every Indiana Jones swing in history, I completed this level on the 4th try. Day 23, we only got to choose 2 plants and I was having flashbacks, but then I remembered that this world doesn't instantly freeze your plants whenever they sense any sort of happiness in your soul. So I just spammed cactuses everywhere and it worked. Day 27 is supposed to show you the power of the old man in his skull or whatever he does, but he easily gets overshadowed by the amount of bucket heads and swinging zombies. I don't even know why bro even tried. Day 29 had 3 gargantuars, but I'm more scared of the 3 swinging zombies, so I kinda locked in. Day 30 and Dave's stupid mold colonies took up 1/3 of the lawn, and yep, swinging zombies that swing 1 tile away from the mold. Is this like a split pea level or something? They're really trying to keep bro relevant, I guess. Luckily this massive horde came at once, so our lawnmowers took them out easily. And after that final level, it is safe to say Lost City is a significant downgrade in difficulty compared to the Frostbite Caves. And I'm pretty sure that goes for any plants you're using or any challenge, that Frostbite Caves is just way harder than Lost City. But yeah, Lost City is a solid 5 out of 10 with nothing too crazy or sweat inducing.
Look guys, look at this. I got a little outfit for my spikeweed. Day 1, you know, is the usual introduction level, and they're showing us a pretty frequent, or should I say, really frequent zombie in this world, the jetpack zombie. But the cactus really shows his worth in this world, eliminating all the jetpack zombies, and they really don't have a lot of health like I thought they would. I'm pretty sure they have less health than a dodo bird. Look, I can't even plant food him. Like, there's no way for me to kill this dude. Except to wait for... Oh, wait. Cha-ching! Day 2 has our first robot of the far future, and I honestly thought with those wheels bro has rolling across that he would crush our spikeweed or any of the variants, or even the cactus, but he literally doesn't. And a cactus and a spikeweed can easily take him out. He's really easy to take out and he doesn't crush anything, so this dude is not really a problem. And also, the shield that he puts up that's supposed to block projectiles, well, our cactus pierces, so honestly he basically does nothing, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, if like, what else runs over the spikeweed without even getting hurt by it? What runs over the spikeweed? I can't remember. Someone tell me down below, because I'm trying to remember. Day 3 have the robots that are controlled by the imps, and they're really annoying sometimes. It depends how far on the map they spawn, because it's different for every, you know, day how far ahead they spawn on the map. Because if they spawn more than halfway, our cactuses can't deal with them. But if they spawn closer to where the normal zombies walk out of, just one cactus can deal with them. They don't have a lot of health. Day 4, the sun bombs are falling, and I really do like this over using like the Goldblum and the sunbeam. And also, I'm pretty sure it gives you way more sun than like a normal level of just sun dropping from the sky does. So I also like that. But there was a ton of zombies, but this level gave us a lot of plant food to deal with all the bucket heads. I just used a bunch of spike rock plant food to deal with them, and every single lane had a plant fooded cactus, so it was pretty easy to deal with all these zombies. Also, does anyone actually use the sun bombs mechanic to destroy zombies? Day 5 has the robot conehead zombies, and the one mistake they made with all the robots, or most of the robots, is that they actually technically eat plants. They don't run them over. So not only do they do nothing to our spikeweed, but we get to use our sunbeam a lot more this world, because our cactuses, unless we have like spike rocks and ice weeds, but usually we don't have enough sun for that, they don't deal enough damage to the zombies like the robot conehead.
But since these robots technically eat the zombie or the plants, we can use the sunbeam plant food to immediately destroy them, and we also get about 600 sun or something like that, which is absolutely crazy. So we are going to be using that a lot in this world because it gives us a crazy amount of sun for just 50 and a plant food. Dang, bro, the sunbeam plant food gives you 600 sun from, bro. That's actually crazy. I need to remember to actually use that then, because that's actually wild. Day 7 was just a bunch of conehead robots and a bunch of jetpack zombies. And at the bottom of my screen where what this conehead zombie is going through is what I said we need to actually deal with the robot coneheads without the sunbeams plant food. Which actually is insane that we need like 5 rows of just weeds, or else bro will actually get our lawnmower. Day 9 was one of the ones where we couldn't have 15 more plants, and as you know by now, if you watch any of the other parts, the levels like this where I can't have more than a certain amount of plants are bugged because I can have as many as I want and it won't do anything. So for this level I actually tried to get the most plants on my screen as humanly possible. And I don't think I did that well, if I'm going to be honest, but I tried. Day 10 gives us the massive robots that spawn the disco jetpack zombies, which the disco jetpack zombies are no problem. If anything's a problem, it's the robot that spawns them. But also, the robot isn't really a problem either. You see, this robot has less health than the conehead, and also it pauses every few seconds to spawn more zombies. So as they're spawning these jetpack zombies that basically do nothing, our cactuses are repeatedly piercing them, and if they're standing on spike rocks, getting repeatedly poked. So they're really easy to deal with, but these zombies can also eat our plants, so we can also use the sunbeam method on this robot, but I don't think he gives as much sun since he has less health. So most of the time we just let him be, since in later levels it's all the robots, so we just let this one be and use our sunbeam plant food for greater things. Day 11 was a planar defense, and holy, there is a bunch of zombies and robots in this. Obviously there's going to be a bunch of them because that's why the reason it's called planar defense. You set up an entire defense that can take out a bunch of zombies and they hit you with a bunch of zombies. The imps weren't really a problem like I thought they could have been because our cactuses still do a lot of damage to them, especially 2 rows of cactuses before they can do anything. But they just had a sheer amount of conehead zombies. Like, who thought it was a good idea to throw 3 coneheads down the same lane during the last wave? Like, how am I actually supposed to defend against that? Especially since we aren't able to use the sunbeam method since it is a planar defense. We had to use plant food strategically. Day 12 wasn't too hard, but it did have the Gargantuar for this world, and I actually really do like the Gargantuar for this world. He is kind of crazy because he can shoot a laser beam across multiple lanes from far away and just obliterate your plants. Day 13 is the biggest problem of this world, which is the robot that pushes plants back. Now he can't push any of our spikeweeds back, but he can push our cactus because our cactus doesn't go down in the ground before he pushes. But the bad thing about this is the sunbeam method won't work, and he has the most health out of all of them, I'm pretty sure. So we have to set up a crazy defense in order to stop this dude, or else it's literally guaranteed lawnmower gone. Day 14, we couldn't spend over a certain amount of sun in this day. Was pretty easy because they didn't throw any high health robots at us or anything. So a full row of cactuses, some with plant food, did the trick. Basically just a bunch of pierce for everything. On day 15, we had to protect the 3 citron, and actually we almost lost this level, but luckily our ice weeds were able to freeze the conehead robots long enough so our citron could get one more shot off to kill them while they were slowly eating out my boys. Day 18, we had to produce 6,000 sun, and on paper, this sounds hard. And you would be right, this level is very hard. Now the saving grace for this level is the sunbeams plant food, which, you know, like I said before, when we use it on one of the big robots, it can give us up to like 600 sun in one thing. Well, on the first attempt, by the final flag, I was only halfway there. So I pretty much knew this was a second attempt incoming. The second attempt I speak of is
using the sunbeam more effectively, since I know when the robot's coming in that I need to use the sunbeam on, I can take that time where they aren't in there to use the sunbeam on other troops like bucketheads, for example, to fully optimize the sunbeam. But we also brought in the golden leaf for once. I know the last thing y'all were expecting was to add another inefficient sun producer to the roster, but I really do think we needed it this round. 6,000 sun is a crazy amount to produce with no one else. We basically just played the golden leaf whenever we had it, and this level became, it didn't become easy, but it was really close. We had to stall the last 2 robots in order to do it. Also, why is the golden leaf's recharge so unbelievably long? Like, holy. Like, if it wasn't a bad plant in concept, like making the cooldown like the same as a golden bloom is absolutely crazy. Day 20, we had to protect all of these star fruits, and it was pretty easy to deal with all the zombies, even if there was an overwhelming amount of them and an overwhelming amount of close calls. But as soon as we got ice weeds in all of the lanes in front of the star fruits, ice weeds froze the zombies long enough for the star fruits' close burst range. What did I just say? For the star fruits' close range attacks that do quite a lot of damage to, eventually kill the zombie with its attacks while the ice weed is still slowing them. And also, I think I underestimated the star fruit's plant food potential. Day 21, we had to produce 5,000 sun, which, I mean, it's less than the last level. But the reason why this level is supposed to be harder than the last one, I guess, is because they also give you the second challenge of not having more than 16 plants. But you already know. Day 22 has a little bit of everything, and when I say everything, I mean everything. I mean, look at what is going on my screen. I have a massive robot at the top lasering down my zombies, and then I have like titans behind him basically, and a bunch of people with jetpacks behind him. Like, dude, if this was the first thing a baby saw coming out of the womb, it would quite literally implode. Day 23, we couldn't spend over a certain amount of sun, so I did Crazy Dave a favor and spent 0 sun. Would you believe me if I said the last level of this world was hard? Would you believe me if I said it was way easier than 80% of the other levels in this world? Okay, so now that we're finished with Far Future, we are going to rate the zombies of Far Future on how difficult they were how difficult they were to deal with them. This challenge, Okay, so let's start with the jetpack zombies. The jetpack zombies were F tier difficulty. The only reason they could ever be a problem is if I don't even have a cactus in that lane, but literally just one cactus takes them out like in a second. Now the dodo bird would probably be like C or something because it's easy to take out, but you have to have a cactus in that lane already, so it might be like C or B, but the jetpack zombie is easier to take out than the dodo for some reason. Okay, next we have the shield zombie. This shield zombie is also pretty easy to take out. He has the least amount of health of all the robot zombies other than the imp, but I think he's still like really easy to take out. We could just use a cactus and like a normal spikeweed, or I'm sure just a cactus can take him out. So I'm gonna place him in D tier. The Afro jetpack zombie, basically the same thing. The only reason he could be difficult is because if the robot that spawns him is up on the map a little, but yeah, that's about it. Okay, the robot imps. I'm going to put them in D tier as well. They have really low health. As long as we already have a cactus in the lane that they drop, we should be good. I mean, we will be good. So yeah, they're not that hard to deal with, like, at all. Next, the Conehead. I'm gonna put him in B. He has quite a lot of health. We had to use like our bean on him every single time. He's kind of a little harder to deal with than just a regular bucket head. We have to put like an ice weed and a spike weed or spike rock down with a cactus to take him out. But yeah, he's not crazy hard though. Okay, the robot that makes the zombies dance. Honestly, I'm gonna put him in C tier. He has quite a bit of health, but since they're too busy spawning zombies half the time, they really just stand in one spot and they don't really progress down the map. And since the jetpack zombies don't really do anything, they also don't really do anything. They just have a lot of health. So yeah.
This zombie, holy shamoly. I hate this freaking zombie, dude. I hate this robot so much. And also, our cactuses don't even hide from him, so he pushes them away. I don't know. Compared to zombies in other worlds, though, I don't know how hard. I mean, he has a ton of health. I'm just gonna say A tier. I'm not gonna say he's the highest of the high. I feel like that's too much. But he does have a crazy amount of health, and we need enough sun to have like 2 ice weeds and like 2 spike rocks down the entire lane to take him out, and maybe even a plant-fooded cactus. He's just insane. The robot Gargantuar, I'm gonna have to put him in A also, maybe above him, because he takes out our plants as well, our spike rocks and everything. But yeah, that background noise was pretty bad in the last section. I don't know what that guy was thinking. But anyway, the next world is the Dark Ages, and I don't know how I never realized this whenever I play this world again, but I completely forget that sun doesn't fall out of the sky, and this is really hard with no efficient sun producers, because this basically means we have to wait for our cactuses to destroy these sun gravestones, or else we literally don't get a sun. So we basically have to let like 1 or 2 lawnmowers go at the beginning of every single level, just because we don't have enough sun to put a cactus or something to defend in every single lane. I didn't notice this in my last challenge, the Only Hypno challenge. If you haven't checked it out, you should check out the movie. It's really good. I don't know who made it, but I think it's really good. I like that video a lot. But anyway, the reason why I didn't notice it in that last challenge is because I didn't really have to worry about it, because the cauliflower targets every single lane. So I never had to worry about all the zombies in different lanes, because the cauliflower goes for every lane. Night 3, we had to let more than half of our lawnmowers go because these stupid imps that spawn from the graves every once in a while. Not only that, but they give us little to no sun graves at all, so we genuinely had to wait for a second gold bloom just to get a full lane of cactuses. You cannot make this up. Night 5 was the Jester's debut, and I really didn't think it was going to be a problem until I saw this happen. Bro, stop! Stop! Wait, why does the Jester have so much health? A whole iceweed didn't even take his limb off! My god! Even the Spearmint's spike rocks couldn't take him out, and they're a little powered up compared to the regular ones. But they can take out the Jester if they are actively being powered up by the Spearmint still. But that is not a reliable way to take care of the Jester, so he's going to be really annoying in future levels. Night 6, 2 of our lawnmowers got immediately taken out by Jesters. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Nothing I can do actually stops this guy right about now, so I really need to think of something. Like, literally the only reason we survived this dude this time is because they gave us a ton of plant food, and every time a Jester almost took our lawnmower or almost ate our berries, I just used a plant food on the spike weeds at the top of the lawn to pull them back. And yeah, that's basically my strategy for stopping them this level. Day 7 was these dudes with night helmets, but they gave us a ton of plant food, so I just used the sunbeam plant food to kill all of them. Goo goo gaga. Day 9, there was all of the potions that helped zombies, but they didn't really affect us that much, probably because the sun gravestones kept respawning, so we had a bunch of sun to deal with all the knights and the jesters this time. But I have a feeling in future levels I will not be so lucky. Day 11 has a bunch of zombies, but I get a ton of plant food. Like, they're really throwing me bones like every single level, I'm not gonna lie. Like, they throw a bunch of zombies at me, but then they throw literally 6 plant food at me. And also this level introduces the wizard, but the wizards do literally nothing when a power-up spike rock at the front of the lawn instantly kills them. Night 12 actually had me struggling quite a bit, and I actually lost a few times, but it's not the reason you think. I'm just kidding. Yes, it is. It's because of the Jester. Okay, I was making some questionable decisions sometimes, and my reaction time might be really slow. But when I tried to do this without the spearmint, it was extremely hard. I didn't expect the cactus to backfire that bad. I don't know exactly how many shots a puff shroom can take from a deflected cactus shot, but I don't think it's much. So when I try to plant food the mushroom so he doesn't die, the Jester is already close enough, so he basically commits, you know, Even with the spearmint, we lost quite a bit of times. The 2 spike rocks at the top didn't even take the jester out like they were supposed to, and then I put 2 cactuses at the top, which ultimately backfired because it was double the cactus projectile shooting back at our puff shroom. They basically took out their own homeboy. Basically, the strat to actually beat this is, use spearmint whenever there are jesters, and use the plant food we get to not only revive the puff shrooms again, but we get a lot of extra plant food that we don't need for the puff shrooms, and we just use it to refresh the spearmint. Day 14 is the infamous level that ends most challenge runs. But we actually first tried this level in this challenge, and it was pretty easy peasy. Since we used the sun bean anyway, we basically know the ins and outs of how to use it, and it's pretty goated, this level. You know, you really need it to complete it. But we did not have to use the grave buster because the spike killed the graves very effectively with her pierce. Night 15 was a plan your defense level, and there were jesters, so I took a very risky move and tried a strategy where instead of using cactus with the jesters, made our cactus basically useless. I saved a lot of sun and just placed ice weeds and spike rocks down with the help of the spearmint, and this ended up working. I wouldn't say it worked like a charm because it was a very sloppy win, but a win overall. Night 16 was one of those levels I thought I had a nightmare about once, but I actually just had a nightmare about me not uploading for a week, but then I woke up and realized it was just a dream. But these stupid king zombies, I knew they were going to be a problem, but I did not know they were going to be this much of a problem. Like, I thought our cactuses could take them out before they put too many helmets on some zombies, but our cactuses literally take 5 business days to make bro even lose a limb. Like, genuinely, it would probably take 2 minutes of the cactus straight shooting at him to actually kill him. I don't know why this homeless King Joe has so much health. Basically, the motto of this world has just been sacrificing lawnmowers. And I'm not proud of saying that, but it has to be done. As you would have guessed by now, I lost again and again. But eventually, just like any level that takes me tons of tries to do, I have no idea how I actually won. I guess it had to do with a bunch of factors, like when I used my spearmint power and also the RNG of which zombie the wizard is going to turn into a sheep and which zombie the king zombie is going to put like a night helmet on. Night 17 and night 19 both had the king zombies, but they had way less of them, and it was actually super easy for both of those levels. Night 16 was basically the final boss of this world. Now we're off to the rankings, and hopefully there's not those weird background noises in this ranking too. Well, there wasn't those weird background noises because my mic wasn't even on for that whole ranking. But anyway, I'm going to quickly go over the rankings since my past self forgot to unmute his mic. Okay, so basically the Jester is a high A tier. He's definitely way more annoying than the robot Gargantua or the other robot that pushes zombies will ever be. The Wizard Zombie is going in high B because they are extremely annoying, way more annoying than the Conehead Zombie or the Cone Robot Zombie for sure, but they were only annoying in some select levels, so that's why it's not in A tier with everybody else. And then we are going to rank the King Zombie and not the Nighthead Zombie differently, because the King Zombie basically made all the Nighthead Zombies in the level when it was introduced. But the King Zombie is definitely going to go in S tier. Holy, this dude is extremely annoying and actually ends my run so many times. But also, he's just an abomination to look at and an abomination of a zombie. I am not looking forward to what Neon Mixtape Tour zombies will do to my spikes, if I'm going to be honest. All I know about Neon Mixtape Tour going in with this challenge is that some of the conveyor belts have cactus and the boss fight has cactus, so we have some extra levels we need to try. Day 3 was one of those conveyor belt levels, but I'm editing this footage right now and it looks like I got a bit carried away because I put down 2 of the plants that like knock zombies back. I guess I was like playing this level and I felt like a kid again or something because I completely forgot about my challenge. But luckily I placed both of these at the end of the final wave, and I had all of my lawnmowers, so it didn't really matter anyway. Day 5, we had to protect 4 different lanes with walnuts and fat beets, but this level kind of just throws all the good zombies that could actually have a chance of ruining your life in the middle. So it's basically, you know, pretty easy since they throw all the bucket heads down the middle. Day 7, and we already know the zombies that kick back plants don't really do anything and are pretty much completely useless against us in this challenge. But what about the Skater Girl zombies? Well, they don't trample our spike weeds, surprisingly, and instantly evaporate them. The only thing they've got going for them is the mystical trail that protects the zombies behind them, but even then she's not that hard to deal with. The next zombie that might threaten us is the Mike Swing zombie, and yeah, they don't even swing and kill our spike weeds. So that is another zombie of this world that basically does absolutely nothing. Day 14 only gave us 4 plants that we had to use, and one of them was a cactus, so I was legally obligated to play this level, and holy, it was close. When I tell you nothing happened till day 23, I'm being serious. And nothing really happened this day either. The only reason why I'm showing you it is because day 23, the arcade pushing zombies joined the bum train. Our cactuses deal with the arcades pretty easily because of her pierce. And also, putting an ice weed under the dude who pushes them is also a pretty good way to deal with them. The gargantuars of this world are the only gargantuars that actually scare me though. Day 30 was the last hard day of this entire world, and it was literally just because it was every zombie in one and absolutely tons of them. I failed the first time and ended up getting it on the second. But then that is literally the end of this world. That's crazy. And then I bet you thought I was going to have this epic boss fight with Zomboss, you know, cactus only. And you know what? That's what I thought too. But in 2 minutes of footage during this boss fight, they only gave me 2 cactuses, and one was literally the last 5 seconds before they ate my brains. I could have sworn there were way more cactuses being given to me like the last time I played this boss. I even tried a few more times to see if it was like RNG, of how many cactuses I get, but no, I literally get 2 in the span of 2 minutes. So I guess no boss fight. Okay, last but not least, we are going to do the zombies from the world we just played, and we're gonna start off with the zombies that kick. They were actually pretty easy, but were they crazy easy? Yeah, they were really easy actually, because they couldn't kick anything, so their whole mechanic was gone. Basically, the only thing that they had for them was when they started dancing, they were a little bit quicker, so we had to have a cactus down already, but that's about it. Okay, the skater zombies, as you guys saw, she doesn't run over the spike rocks or cactus and kill them, so she really has nothing besides her, you know, usual abilities, which they didn't really make it hard, especially since the cactus has piercing. Well, the piercing didn't really matter, but ice weed and stuff pretty well, so I'm gonna put her in D. She's at least not turned into a normal zombie. The mic swinging zombies were actually also useless. I mean, I'm pretty sure they could have got my cactus, but they never got close to him. But yeah, I don't think he can hit spike weeds, or at least he never hit one of the ones I placed down. So I'm gonna also put him in D. And then these freaking these boombox zombies that like make my plants fall in love, they were actually really annoying, but they were only in like 2 levels or 3 levels, so I'm gonna put them in C for that. Arcade pushing zombies, it wasn't even the fact of the arcade itself, because the cactus has pierce, but then the arcade spawns like freaking cone heads and bucket heads through it, so I'm gonna put him in A tier. But I don't think he's I think he's more annoying than this, but less annoying than the Gargantuar. Now, Jurassic Marsh, you know, doesn't really have a lot of new zombies or really any really creative new zombies, which I don't know why I'm saying really don't, because they don't, like, at all. You know, the main thing is they're dinosaurs, so we're going to be going over all the levels when the dinosaurs are introduced and all the levels that are extremely hard, of course. Day 2, the first dinosaur we get is the Velociraptor, of course. When you think of dinosaurs, the Velociraptor is definitely one of like the top 3 that comes up, besides like the T-Rex and maybe even like the Triceratops or something. yeah, as a kid, this is definitely was my favorite world, and I'm sure it was a lot of people's favorite world just because of the dinosaurs. And I think they actually did a good job, well rounding like every single dinosaur and different like abilities. You know, they got everyone's like favorites, except I feel like they should have added like a Triceratops instead of like a Stegosaurus or something, but and maybe some other favorites in there, but they can't incorporate everything, you know. But back to the day, the Velociraptors aren't really challenging because they only kick them a few tiles, and also the only zombies that don't die to our spearmints immediately before they can even kick them are the bucketheads and the Triceratops skeleton wearing zombies. Day 4, they immediately threw a buckethead zombie at me, so I don't really know what they want me to do about that. Wait. Huh? Oh, I had 400 sun? Yeah, I don't know what I was doing there. But yeah, this level the raptors literally did nothing because I had 2 rows of spearmints that killed the bucketheads and the other skeleton zombies. So they basically did nothing. They just walked back and forth acting like they weren't there to kick zombies at me. Day 5 is basically the same story for the raptors, but one thing I learned actually is that, you know, an iceweed takes out a regular zombie. Well, if it's at the very back tile right beside the lawnmower, the zombie actually still gets to the lawnmower before. At least that's what happened in this case. Maybe I was a tiny bit late with the iceweed, but still let it go. Day 6, we get to see the Stegosaurus, which I still think should have been like the Triceratops. The Triceratops is just way too iconic to not be in this, but I guess I don't know what the Triceratops power would be, like throwing it with its horns or something, I don't know. But also the Stegosaurus just looks very, very evil for some reason. But I guess in this case, the dinosaurs are pretty evil for throwing zombies at me. Day 8 went pretty smoothly. There were a ton of Stegosauruses and Velociraptors, and at the end I put down a perfume shroom in the middle where there were no dinosaurs to just flex my dominance over them. Day 10 has the pterodactyls, but they honestly really don't do anything because the whole mechanic is basically like, you know, the old man from the Wild West. He eats your defense from the back, but since our cactuses just hide, it basically does absolutely nothing, and if anything, it helps us because they might pull a strong zombie, and the zombie has to walk all the way back to the other side of the lawn, stepping over all the rocks again. Day 15, we had to protect the primal walnuts, but that wasn't even the issue. The issue was this raptor kicked 2 zombies past my primal walnut and this iceweed, and then immediately turned around like he didn't just do that shit. Also, is it just me, or do I think that if a lawnmower goes off in a lawn that like a dinosaur is on, I think it should at least scare away the dinosaur or something, dude? Because like if you're already struggling enough where you lose a lawnmower, you probably need to get rid of that dinosaur too. Day 18 is the T-Rex, and the T-Rex is actually really annoying, especially since we don't really have the damage output other than like the spearmint to deal with these bucketheads and the freaking bone zombies. And even with the spearmint, they walk past it. So with the T-Rex zombies, they like run past it and they barely even get damaged. So I basically lose like all of my lawnmowers at the start, but Jurassic Marsh has this pattern where they throw everything at you at once, and it doesn't really last long. Like there's not a bunch of waves, it's just like 1 or 2 waves with a bunch of zombies and a bunch of dinosaurs attacking you at once. Day 20, you had to produce 2,000 sun, and usually levels like this are pretty easy because they give us a ton of plant food where I can refresh the gold bloom or something. But we actually did not get a lot of plant food, or I'm pretty sure we only got like 1. So I actually lost on the first try, so we had to run it back and utilize the sunbeam this time and actually get most of our sun from the sunbeam, and like wait for an extra cycle of the gold bloom instead of using the plant food on it too early, and then we eventually got the win. And what I meant by waiting for an extra refresh on the sun bloom or the gold bloom is that, as you can see in the bottom here, I'm continuously slowing this bone zombie, and I'm using an iceweed to give it the slow effect, but scooping it back up so it doesn't do too much damage. So I just wait for my gold bloom this whole time. This is actually the most tedious thing I've ever done in this game. Just to complete and get 2000 sun is actually kind of crazy. Now this is what is difficult about dealing with the T-Rex, is that I can put an ice weed down and it slows them, and then when they get past the ice weed or get kicked past like it did in this situation by the Velociraptor, they keep their speed and run all the way through. Like, what? How does that make any sense? And the T-Rex was already gone. Like, when they were in the ice weed, they sure did look slow to me, bud. Like, it didn't even look like... It was like the normal slow for the ice weed, too. It wasn't like a speed up slow. Like, it really did look like they lost their speed from the freaking T-Rex, bro. And he was gone. Bro was gone. Was he manifesting? But then I saved my spearmint for that situation, and it ended up being okay. And then we have the infamous line of ankylosaurs. Holy... This was annoying to deal with. Ankylosaur definitely is the most annoying dinosaur, pushing every zombie literally to like two tiles away from your lawnmower. But luckily this all happened really fast, and there wasn't very much zombies actually. And that's literally it for all of the difficult levels in Jurassic Marsh. And now onto the worst world ever, Big Wave Beach. Now the biggest problems of this world is going to be the tide, the squid zombie, and the fisherman zombie basically. And day 7 is where it all starts with the tide, which the water covers the whole entire lawn at one point. Now for some reason cactus can't be planted on lily pads, and I'm guessing that's because he can't really go underground in a lily pad. That wouldn't make sense. Well, why can't they just make it where he doesn't go underground on a lily pad, but instead they just make it where you can't place him on lily pad? So basically our cactus is cooked for this level eventually. Now the even worse thing about these water levels, and if the whole thing is filled up, is that our spikes actually get eaten when they're on a lily pad over the water, which is absolutely crazy, and it doesn't even take a while either. Like, you're telling me a gargantuar can hit a spike rock 3 times before it dies, but like a regular zombie can chew on it for like a few seconds and eat it? Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Day 11, the surfboard zombies are here, and they're not really a huge problem, but if they do get too close to the front of the lawn, you'll just have a surfboard there for the rest of the match and not be able to place anything there, so that's kind of lame. But yeah, the levels don't get like extremely hard until like the surfer zombie or the octopus zombie come around, but each level I have to like literally pay attention every second to, or I will lose. It's actually crazy how every level is literally like a 10 out of 10 difficulty, bro. Day 13, the whole lawn gets consumed by the water again, and there's just one row of lily pads, so we literally just used one spearmint, and we had to just use that one spearmint the entire time to kill all these zombies. Now, since you know the whole water is full of, or the whole map is full of water. Why would I say the whole water's full of Since the whole map is full of water, you know, they don't send many zombies, because that would literally be like an impossible challenge even for like normal PvZ goers. So they don't send many zombies, and they don't send very powerful zombies. So that's why this level is actually really possible. Day 15, I remember vividly. I remember beating up my tablet as a kid to this level, but this level is actually pretty easy when you know you're older and you actually have a brain, and also for this challenge, because the spike rocks do incredibly well against all these zombies, especially since the tide doesn't really stay up very long. Day 20 is the level I despise. The squid zombie and the water goes all the way up to the lawnmowers. Like, can you literally think of a more lethal combo than that? Like, first of all, all my cactuses get wiped out, the things that should probably be able to take care of the squid zombies, but they don't really anyway. So after my cactuses disappear because of the water, the only way to deal with them is with plant food. Also, not to mention that the cactuses barely do anything to the squid zombie anyway. They barely do any damage to him, and he has a ton of health for some reason, dude. Like, they gave the most annoying zombie like the health of a gargantuar. Like, for what? My first attempt was pretty bad, to say the least, but to say the most. My second attempt, I was so close, and I had 2 plant food and only 2 lily pads, and I had 600 sun. So I paused the game to think of a strategy and what I could do to actually beat this level. And then finally I made it to the last wave with all of my lawnmowers, and I didn't have to worry about a thing. And then I realized I have a ton of more levels to go, and I'm scared. Day 22 is the fisherman zombies are here. And basically I'm gonna tell you all you need to know about the fisherman zombies for this challenge. So yeah, they pull cactuses, but they don't pull spike rocks unless the spike rock is on a lily pad over the water, or unless it's a tile directly in front of the fisherman. Even if it's not in the water, they will still pull the spike rock. Also, if the cactus is at the very back of the lawn and there's a spike rocks in front of it, it will pull the cactus and knock the spike rocks forward until the spike rocks and the cactus finally get flung off. Day 25 starts off all innocent, showing you that you have 3 whole rows of tiles that are untouched by water. The only catch is you can't spend 3,000 sun, and that right there is exactly what makes this level so difficult to do. Is because with all the squids being thrown around and covering everything, and the fishermen pulling everything I own into the water, and the sheer amount of zombies, the surferboard zombies, it is impossible to complete this level in this challenge without spending more than 3,000 sun. Every single time I've lost is because I've had to spend over 3,000 sun protecting everything from all these zombies. Like, look, I've already spent half of my sun. Like, look at this. All of my lawnmowers are gone. I'm already scrambling to try to deal with every zombie here. And then as I'm placing stuff, I get a thing that says spend no more than 3,000 sun, you lost or whatever. Like, dude, I was already fighting for my life about to lose from the zombies themselves. I don't need you to tell me I lost because I spent too much time. And I tried this level for about 45 minutes to an hour, I'm pretty sure. And every single time I lost because I spent too much sun trying to defend these hordes of zombies, not even because of the zombies themselves. This level is officially impossible for this challenge. And speaking of, 2 more levels in this world are impossible. Day 27, I mean, just look at this. It's basically like the last world, but with fishermen and squids. Like, quite literally, how am I supposed to do this? And I didn't even mention the kicker yet. The kicker is that they only let you use 2 plants that you get to choose. And then the last level, to my greatest ability, is also impossible. There are just way too many fisherman zombies, and I don't have enough ways to stop them besides the cactus and the sunbeam, and that's literally it. As soon as the fisherman zombie gets their grubby little hands on my guacadile, it's over for me. Not only that, but the octopus zombie is like throwing squids at my cactuses, like as the fishermen are like straight up grabbing my guacs. And that is basically it for all the hard levels for the rest of this thing. I know you guys would probably want me to go over modern day, but I promise you there is literally nothing to go over. There are no new zombies to explain except for like the football zombie, newspaper zombie, and like balloon zombie, which I'll get to in a minute. But quite literally, these levels were a cakewalk with Spearmint and everyone else. Like, genuinely, since there are no new zombies and it's just zombies from every other world, I would literally just be explaining just like a strategy of spamming Spearmint on like a 2 out of 10 difficulty world. Like, this world is genuinely insanely easy. The only hard level was day 30, which you're looking at right now. And also, it wasn't even hard about the trample of flower part, because this is like the only trample of flower level where the spike weeds actually cover the flowers. So that was great. But anyway, out of all the worlds in this challenge, I'm honestly proud to say that Big Wave Beach was the only one that stumped this challenge, and stumped it a total of 3 times, while everyone else we breezed through all the other worlds, you know? Like, I'm not disappointed in saying that we lost to Big Wave Beach. I mean, Big Wave Beach is a pain. But anyway, I will now show you the tier list of my remaining zombies. Okay, in this tier list, we are going to be ranking Jurassic Marsh, Big Wave Beach, and a little bit of Modern Day, since, you know, Modern Day is a mix of every world zombies, but it has a little bit from, you know, PVZ1. Also, hopefully, this tier list doesn't have any of that clicking noises, so let's get into it. Okay, first, Jurassic Marsh. The T-Rex, I'm going to say very difficult. It made the zombies extremely fast, and since we weren't able to use the perfume shroom, every single lane with the T-Rex immediately bum rush us, so we either had to put an ice weed or lost a lawnmower. But also, there would be times where they got past the ice weed and the T-Rex boosted them again, so they went even faster that time, so I don't know. Next is the Velociraptor. I'm going to put him at minor inconvenience compared to all the other dinosaurs. He's not crazy good, but he does push him, you know, a little bit. But when I use Spearmint a lot, they usually killed or weakened a lot of the zombies that he was kicking, you know, before he even kicked them. So it wasn't really that bad to deal with him. The Stegosaurus, it was like, it wasn't even like it was hard to deal with him, really. It was just like, I had to watch out for his attacks. Like, it was something I had to look at and had to react to, but it wasn't something that was actually threatening to the run. Okay. And now, the Pterodactyl, because the P is silent. I'm going to say he is trash, since our cactuses hide from him. And basically they just make it where the zombie has to walk the whole lawn, walking over all the spikes again. He really basically does absolutely nothing. And the Ankylosaurus is going in brain rotting. He was only in it for a few levels, but when he was in it, it was absolutely terrible to deal with him, especially since we couldn't perfume shroom any of the Ankylosauruses. It was extremely hard to deal with the zombies getting pushed all the way to our lawnmowers. Okay, the caveman zombie, I don't know what's really different about him, but I think he's just like a little bit stronger or something, and he moves like weirdly. But I'm going to put him in eh. When the T-Rex buffed him, it was really scary to go against him, but usually it's not that scary at all. The Gargantuar is just a normal Gargantuar, so I'm going to put him at minor inconvenience because he doesn't do anything special, really. Well, why would I put a Gargantuar? I'm at least going to put the Gargantuar above that dude. I don't know what I was thinking for a second. The zombies with the skulls, I'm going to put him above this dude at eh. Because it wasn't difficult to deal with him at all, but I did have to watch this more than this dude, so... Actually, I'm going to put this dude at the top of minor inconvenience, I'm not going to lie. Okay, and that is all of the Jurassic Marsh zombies slash dinosaurs. Next is, the few modern day zombies. This dude is trash. He doesn't really do anything because, you know, after he gets thrown or whatever, he gets blown up immediately. Balloon zombies, minor inconvenience because our cactus deals with them. I mean, that's practically what they're made for. Football zombie is brain rotting. He can run past basically everything. The spike weed barely does anything to him. The only way we can stop him really is, you know, spike rocks boosting our cactuses and the spike rock boosted spike rocks themselves. Wait, why have I been saying spike rock? I meant spearmint. Spearmint boosting everything helps a lot, but still, we need something for him to, like, you know, hit so he'll stop charging. But still, actually, I'm going to put him at the top of very difficult. Okay, now, the newspaper zombie, I'm going to put him at the top of because after you break his newspaper, obviously he goes bonanza, but Iceweed can take him out, but overall he kind of has a lot of health for everything. So I don't know. Actually, I'm going to put him at the bottom of it. I like how my opinions change like as I'm talking about him. Anyway, this Gargantuar is just normal, so I'm going to put him at right above the skeleton. The squid is brain rotting, and it's for obvious reasons. I mean, I feel like everybody, no matter what challenge or anything you're doing, thinks the squid is the most annoying zombie in the game. But yeah, if you played the game yourself, I think the diving zombies, sometimes they were hard to deal with, but overall, I'm just going to put them, yeah, in right below the skeleton zombies. And it's crazy that they're more difficult to deal with just because of how much health they have. The surfboard zombies, they were only difficult on the levels where I had to protect plants, but I'm not going to put them at minor inconvenience. They're definitely harder than the newspaper and the surf. Okay, I'm going to put them in front of the scuba diving zombie, the fisherman zombie. Holy brain rotting. I don't think he's more annoying than the fisherman. I think the ankylosaur is below. Is it just me, or do I usually say ankylosaur or ankylosaur? Because I feel like that's how I pronounced it when I was like a kid or something. But I want to know, do you guys pronounce it like I did when I was a kid, ankylosaur? Or I'm pretty sure it should be pronounced ankylosaur like I've been saying. But anyway, fisherman brain rotting for sure. I think we all know why. It's crazy that he can pull spike rocks if he's close enough, but yeah, I kind of hate it. I wish my cactus would like hide from him when he sees the big fishing rod coming at him and that he's slowly being dragged into the water, but you know, I guess not every plant is like smart like that. And thank you guys for all of the support on all of these videos. I am a woke person. I am not AI. I actually have feelings, believe it or not, and I am so grateful to have fans like you guys. All the people who comment on every video and watch every video, you know who you are, and I also know who you are. Not like full name, address, or anything, but like, you know, on the inside. But again, thank you guys, and I will see y'all in another challenge video soon. Soon as in like, you know, 5 years or so.